All right, everybody, welcome back. We're here to recap Week 5 of a good NFL weekend. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating there a little bit. We had a couple good games, but overall, kind of a disappointing slate early on. Mm-hmm. PG, what did you think of that early morning slate?
It was kind of boring. I think the Steelers fans are happy. Bills fans are more confused. Chiefs fans are pumped. But for overall, it wasn't particularly entertaining. I will say, dude, did you get a chance to watch any of the UFC?
I didn't see the fight, but I saw the fight after the fight on the internet. So I don't watch UFC anymore because I don't know. I don't really have any friends. So it's like, why do you want to spend, $80 to watch that thing or whatever it costs to watch it? The last fight that I paid for was the Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor fight.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I paid the $100 for that. Floyd's out there, riding around in one of his expensive cars, not being able to read the traffic signs, partly because of me. So I'm glad to have contributed to that.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the fight. I heard McGregor looked gassed as hell, which is consistent. I mean, that's what happened in the Mayweather fight. And I don't know that Khabib not gonna work here anymore. Like, I don't know much about him. I know he's from some country that I've never really heard of. It's one of these weird stands, like in Dagestan or one of these weird stands. And apparently Brendan Schaub, I was looking on Twitter and he was on Joe Rogan's thing and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to this fight. He's like, why is that? He's like, probably going to be a big melee at the end of it. There's all these fucking Irish people and all these whatever Dagestans, Russians and all these. Yeah, it's like, why the fuck would I want to be in that environment? Turned out he was a man of good sense there.
Yeah, he's not a man of good sense, but he was right there. It was a pretty wild fight. This Russian dude, he just chokes you and slowly takes your air out. It's pretty incredible to watch. But the whole card was entertaining. Like, I don't know shit about fighting, but I ended up I'm on the East Coast, right? So when you turn that shit on, you think at 10 p.m. it's go time, but the fight isn't aired till 1 o'clock in the morning, right? So I got home and I'm like, well, let me just see how that fight is going. I ended up watching some of the fights. The first fight was with these chicks, and I mean, I'm not a sexist, but I got distracted by this girl's legs. And then I didn't realize, I'm not saying you guys can't be doctors. I'm just saying this girl in particular had nice legs. So I was watching this fight. And this girl, she's jacked legs, dude. She had these huge legs and this huge behind. And I was really distracted by her legs. I'm like, these legs are nice. And then she started kicking the shit out of the other girl. And then I realized those aren't legs. Those are Pat Mahomes' trebuchet legs. She's kicking the shit out of this girl. She kicked this girl in the chest, in the face. It was a great fight. Then there was another one with these two guys. I guess the guy had knee surgery 6 months prior. And 6 months after his surgery, he's in the ring fighting some other dude, right?
I'm sure there were no complications with that knee.
No.
I'm just going to project. I'm sure it was strong, healthy.
He ended up winning, dude. And then, they were just it was almost like a street fight. It was always like these two middleweight guys who were just punching each other nonstop. One dude was bleeding so much that it was pouring onto the other dude's face. And so Joe Rogan's the commentator. And he's like, oh my God, everybody's bleeding. But the other guy wasn't bleeding. It was just so much blood had accumulated on that guy's face from the other guy that when the other guy got on top, blood was pouring out of his orifices, but it wasn't his blood. And then the other guy broke his hand, so they had to call off the fight. And I don't watch UFC, so I'm watching this shit, and I'm like, this is awesome. I don't know what this is, but it's awesome. And then I watched the third fight with this the Beast or whatever. They call him the Black Beast. He's this big dude.
Was he fighting this tall, lanky white guy? I saw the end of that. Yeah. I saw him throw that right hand and just applesauce that motherfucker.
He did. And if you watch it, you watch this guy talk. He talks. His voice is so low, he sounds like a cartoon. It almost sounds like they've taken his voice after post audio, whatever, post edit, and just dropped it really low. So this guy's fucking strong, right? This guy, you saw it, dude. He threw the ultimate Pat Mahomes trebuchet and just decked him in his face, and the guy just went down like The goddamn Russian oak tree just fell down, and the black dude, of course, beat the shit out of him, and he said some fun. Overall, it was a really entertaining product,
It's
and
always funny when
it's
they
great
had
entertainment value, man.
these
Great
little
entertainment value.
melees. And number one, I'm always surprised that people are surprised. Like, who would
Right,
think that all of these fucking assholes walking around in affliction t-shirts, drinking heavily, that there'd be violence involved in that general area? I mean,
right,
Brendan Schaub's right. Stay the hell away from there.
right,
But like, even this, when guys are actively fighting, it's like, all right, these guys fighting in here, and now he jumps over this cage, and now he's fighting out here, but all of a sudden that's no longer like cool. It's like, whoa, buddy, you can throw punches, but you got to be inside of this thing. They
right.
can't turn that switch off. It's like this. There's this Neil Brennan. He's this comedian, and he's got this joke about Ray Rice punching his wife, and it's something like, "Hey, that guy's just—he's a football player. He just didn't know when to turn the football off."
Right,
Was I not supposed to do football in the elevator? Like,
right.
was I not supposed to do that? So I never get surprised when they have these little melees, and then Dana White comes out, and he
Oh,
always
God.
has to feign like this, like, "Oh man, I tell you what, I'm so
Yeah.
disgraced by our fighters." Like,
They're
it's
trying to sell
ridiculous.
pay-per-view sales, and they're trying to
Yeah,
convert people to watch their sport. Guess who now is interested in their sport? Me.
more people. Yeah,
Me.
more people.
Right. It was great. I thought it had a great entertainment value. And then you listen to the guys, this is disgusting. This is a disgrace. This is a what I couldn't get enough, dude. I thought I was watching like Rocky 8, like, oh, this is fucking going crazy. It took shit to the next level. Like I was watching a Hollywood movie. It had great entertainment value. It was fantastic. They were just pretending that it sucked, but at the end of the day, they saw the dollar signs.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're
Fantastic,
watching
man.
the Westminster Dog Show. I mean, these are guys that are sweaty, bloody guys that are kicking the shit out of each other. So it's like
That'd be pretty
the
cool
level
though.
of decorum that needs to be maintained in and inside and outside of the event it's much different.
Yeah,
Um,
if they really fucking cared, they shouldn't serve alcohol there. Oh wait, they don't care. So they still sold alcohol there. So no wonder. And then people were getting in fights after, like the Irish people were fighting the Russians. Like,
of course,
yeah,
man. It's like, oh, I mean, no, I
it
don't
was
want any
great.
part of that.
It
It's
was
like
great.
what do they think they're at a Raiders game? At a Raiders game, you can't do that.
Speaking
Stabbing
of,
people
did
in the
somebody get
parking lot.
stabbed today?
Not that I know of. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened, though.
Mm,
News travels fast. News travels slowly when it comes to stabbings in the LA area. There's a lot of knives going into people,
right.
so you
And
never know.
statistics are a little skewed too, because if somebody goes missing and then is stabbed, that data isn't recorded. You know what I mean? So somebody
Yeah,
could have gotten kidnapped and then stabbed and left in a dumpster somewhere, but it would have not, it would have been just another
yeah.
LA
So you
stab.
gotta leave that bet open. I mean, the bookmakers they can't close that off and pay it out for probably at least another week until we
Hmm.
get through all these media reports because that definitely could have happened.
I
Let's
agree.
go and get on some of these games. Well, kind of the biggest game of the week as far as two good teams going at it. We had the number one offense in the Kansas City Chiefs facing the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'll tell you what, we got some vintage Blake Bortles today. So we got
Hmm.
vintage Tannehill. Hey, guess what, Miami Dolphins fans? If you were in Sweden and you listened to this podcast, there's a good chance that about halfway through that game you were ready you were ready to get after me. But guess what? I got a special gift for you guys later. Just
Spoiler
like
alert.
that. Yeah, just like Blake Bortles had a bunch of gifts for the Kansas City Chiefs defenders. He, of course, pulled off his new patented throw it off my own lineman's helmet and create an interception that way. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that, but I'm looking at the box score right here, 4 interceptions, and it's
Yeah, he
just
threw a four-fist Peterman. He almost went full
almost.
Peterman.
Yeah, you can't win
And
games if you're going full Peterman. And I think you were right about that one. You said that the Chiefs were going to have their way with Bortles, and he was going to have a bad showing. And there you go. What is kind of depressing about this whole situation is the Patrick Mahomes. Is he perfect? Is he human? Is he from heaven himself? But 2 interceptions, so he didn't have a great showing, but they still were able to pull off the win.
I mean, they got up early. They came after him. I mean, they were up 20-0 at halftime. And whenever you got a 20-point lead on Blake Bortles, you're feeling pretty good about that. It turns out they should have finished them off 30-14. Chiefs go to 5-0. Jags fall to 3-2. They're still in first place in their division. They're tied with the Titans, who, hey, guess what, Bills? I was with the Bills. I told you to go with the Bills.
You were right.
I was right. I was right about the Bills. They're one of these teams, whatever you think they should do, whatever you think's going to happen, the opposite's going to happen. So
I'm just so glad I wasn't there for this game. I mean, look at the box score. Mariota 130 yards and an interception. Josh Allen less than 100 yards and an interception. What is it? Tannehill versus Tannehill. This is unwatchable football. Jesus.
This is a Tannehill Bortles kind of level showdown they had going on. Not a lot of offense, slow moving game. Shady McCoy. I don't know how the fuck that guy is still playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
I keep reading these reports about what a just genuine piece of shit he is. And there's nothing that's not believable about that. And he's a
What's
guy
his new one? What's his new one? Didn't he drop kick some chick or something?
Oh no, what he did was he staged a robbery and assault on his ex-girlfriend. So he had. So this
okay.
So that's allegedly, right? Except
allegedly.
Very allegedly, like very allegedly, he did that. And he's still playing the NFL. And then his ex-girlfriend comes out and she filed a lawsuit against him with the accusations that he beat her up, that he beats his kids up, and he kicks the shit out of his dog.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the type of piece of shit LaShawn McCoy is. And like I said earlier, like who to guess the guy who goes by the moniker Shady, that he may have some darkness hiding in there.
What's next? You're going to tell me the founder of a sandwich company is a pedophile? What's next? What's wrong with the world?
He wasn't the founder of it. You talking about Jared?
I was talking about Jared.
Was he the founder? No, he was just a fat guy who lost a bunch of weight eating Subway sandwiches, because instead of eating everything he could find, what he did was he only ate a certain amount of food, and that ended up being Subway sandwiches. I don't know, like, if maybe he hit a critical point of ingesting too much of that stuff they call bread, and that got in his system and fucked him up, or if he was fucked up from the beginning. I'm not sitting here saying if you eat too much Subway, you're going to become a pedophile, but we can't.
You're not saying it. You can't rule it out. They don't call it any studies to support that product. Yeah, they don't call it emulsified bread product for a reason. It ain't bread. That government cheese ain't cheese. That Subway bread ain't bread.
Well, and nothing at Subway is what it's labeled as. Some people up in Canada, I don't know if you saw this, they took a bunch of fast food chicken and they did a DNA test on it, or some sort of like composition test to see like, yo, is this fucking chicken, or like what proportion of this is actually like fucking dead animal versus whatever it may be. And most of these companies like McDonald's, Burger King, whatever, like the crazy Canadian equivalent of it is, like you never know, like, Burger Monarch or whatever they got going on. But all of that stuff was like high 80s to 90% meat, like actual bird. But Subway, not so much. And it's easy, like, at 10%, it's like, hey, it's, preservatives, whatever. It's stuff that makes sense. Subway was less than 50% meat. It was less than 50%. You're not eating fresh. It was like a combination of,
I heard it's a lot of soy. Like they take.
Yeah, it was a combination of bird and soy, right? So that's why the chicken doesn't taste like chicken, and it's like that's why they're just milling it and chopping it in these giant factories and then sending it out in giant bins to be consumed by people nationwide as they cook bread fresh in the store. That shit ain't bread. That's not bread. It's a disappointing thing to go and walk into a Subway. It's a disappointing thing to walk around Atlanta, Georgia right now as a Falcons fan. Falcons 1-4 after a devastating loss to the Steelers. Steelers 41-17. Steelers go to 2-2-1. Roethlisberger had a big game. He had a couple of ridiculous passes that were just classic Ben, where he just walks around and chucks the ball up. But that ended up working out for him. The Falcons defense, probably the worst unit in the league.
It's pretty bad. I mean, they're 1-4. I don't know. I don't know what else there is to say. It's kind of a bummer for Falcons fans. I mean,
Yeah, it's time to start.
know,
Hey, go ahead and reach those hands out, everybody. We're gonna hand you this shovel here pretty soon, and you're
I
gonna have
think
to start
for
digging because their season's fucking over. I mean,
I
they're in
don't
a
think
tough division. It's over.
yeah, I think for them it's over. They're the only team in the NFC that has one. Oh, I'm sorry, the Cardinals. The Cardinals are the only other team that has one win in the NFC. So they're at the bottom. They're not going to be able to climb out of that grave. Keep digging, Atlanta. You guys are going to be digging for the next
Put the
couple
dirt in
weeks.
the truck bed, all right, and make it easy on me. Put all
Yeah.
that dirt in the truck bed. I don't want to. I don't want to have to stress and strain to cover your corpse at the end of this.
Speaking of
Lions,
weird games,
yeah.
Lions Packers. I don't
Lions the
know.
Packers. That
I'm
was
surprised about
weird
this. Yeah.
when it came to Mason Crosby having the worst fucking day
All
an
the kickers
NFL
this
kicker could
fucking
ever have.
all the kickers this fucking did. Dan Bailey played like shit. The Browns kicker. They
He was
all played like
terrible.
ass. Yeah.
Every kicker except for one, and we're gonna get to him. Graham Gano. Holy
Mm,
fucking
that was
shit,
sick.
Graham
That was
Gano.
sick.
It's been a long
That
time
was
since
sick.
I jumped out of my chair, sitting there watching Red Zone. But I
It
was
was
just my wife
crazy.
came down. My wife came down, and let's go. We'll skip forward to that game. Let's get to that. We'll jump back to the Packers and Lions here. So Giants at the Panthers. So 33-31, Panthers with the win. Eli Manning was terrible all day. Cam Newton was up and down, but we don't need to talk about that. We need to talk about Graham Gano
That was
and
BS.
Ron Rivera because there's a couple things there. It's like, all right, he's obviously seen Gano kicked that thing. So that's 64 yards at the end
63.
of the game, down by one. And number one, the Panthers did a fantastic job of advancing the ball towards the end of that thing and really put Gano in an almost impossible situation.
A lot of weird, terrible clock management. Just the whole that whole drive was just terrible.
It was terrible, and almost as terrible as Eli Manning. But when you get down to it, they're lining up, and it's like, all right, well, what do we got a better chance at? A Hail Mary? I mean, I don't know what your odds are on a Hail Mary. What, 1 in 10? Something like that?
Well, Cam Newton can get that ball down there. He could definitely.
Yeah, he could definitely get that. That's an easy throw for him. He's not Eli Manning. He'll get the ball there. But when it comes to that field goal, so Rivera's got to be saying to himself, hey, there's a better than 10% chance that he ties the fucking league record for longest field goal and wins the game right now. And he had that thing by a good 5 or 10 yards. He had that thing.
It was perfect. And then as he's walking, it wasn't even it was almost like the coach was just like, yeah, just go ahead and do it. It was almost as if there was at no point that Graham Gano and Riverboat Ron, it's like they knew he was going to hit it the whole fucking time. He just strolled his ass out there. And then is he doing a 63 fucking yard? I'm trying to do the math in my
64.
head.
He did a 64-yarder.
I'm trying to do the math in my head, confused. And then their commentators are like, whoa, what the fuck's going on here? And then he just fucking boom. It's like they didn't even realize what had happened until the ball was in the air.
He crunched that fucking thing.
He just beast moded it.
If you saw Pat Shurmur after that, the look on his face, it was like he walked in on a bunch of dudes tag team and his wife at the Radisson. Like, man, he looked betrayed. That's what it was. It wasn't even, he looked very betrayed.
OBJ looked like he was about to cry or punch some inanimate object. It was awesome.
I don't know if it's time for a quarterback controversy in New York. We're about to start one. I don't know. Skip Bayless actually tweeted out, is it Foles time? So I'm not the only one on the Foles train. But the Giants, hey, is it too soon to talk about benching Eli and maybe putting Odell back there?
I think anybody that
because he threw a hell of a pass to Barkley early in that thing. That was the best pass that any Giants quarterback threw all day.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not saying that, but I'll tell you what. There's nobody in the greater New York area that's going to want Eli Manning sitting on the bench. Everybody else is going to maybe be able to talk themselves into benching Manning, but everybody else is going to tell you no. He bleeds blue, bro. Are you fucking kidding me? I seen it. I seen 9-7. I seen the Super Bowl.
2 Super Bowl wins, man. David Tyree, helmet catch. You never bench that guy. You fucking
Mario
never bench him.
Manningham, bro. Shut up. But yeah, going back to these Giant fans, Yeah, they're 1-4. What do you
One and
want?
four. I knew they
One,
were
one and
gonna. I knew
four.
they were gonna be terrible. And they're one of those teams. I've not been a Giants fan ever. I grew up a Cowboys fan back in the Emmitt Smith, Aikman, Irvin era. I was a bandwagon on the Cowboys.
You and like 90% of America.
Yeah, I mean, I bailed a long time ago. I think when I officially bailed off the Cowboys was that game when Tony Romo dropped that snap in the in that playoff game. They were gonna kick a field goal to win it, and then Tony Tony Romo like fucking dropped the ball or something, and then cost him the game. But so it's gonna be a lot of desperation next week in that stadium when Philly comes to town because Philly's 2-3. Got the Giants sucking ass.
Well, the
And
Panthers looking good though. I'm liking the Panthers. They were looking good all day, so it's kind
Panthers
of
look good.
I can't hate Cam Newton. I like watching Cam Newton do the Superman. I like his hair. I like his smile. I want more Cam, and I like Ron Rivera not smiling. I fucking love that.
Yeah, love Cam, love Ron Rivera. We'll go back to this Packers game real quick. So Mason Crosby did not have the same game that Graham Gano did. He missed, I think, 4 field goals and an extra point. He got this pity field
Really?
goal like at the very end, where I was like, oh shit, okay, good. You can actually, yeah, that's where it goes between those two yellow sticks. That's where you want to aim it next time. So he figured that out at the end of it. Rodgers
4 missed field goal. Really?
yeah,
I thought it was
and
like
a
2
missed
or
extra
3.
point. So if he puts his uniform on and decides he wants to show up, it's a lot different game. The Packers have a chance, but Lions gifted another win at home. Stay of execution for Matt Patricia. Broncos at the Jets. Case Keenum delivered for me this week. I've been shitting on him. Don't let the stat line fool you. 377 with 2 touchdowns and an interception. Those were pity fucking touchdown. And one of those was a pity touchdown at the end of the game. Their offense couldn't do anything all day, and they got their asses whipped by the Jets.
Well, the Broncos defense is good, and the Broncos defense played like shit. So that's a problem. So the defense needs to carry your team, and your defense isn't playing. So you got to get rid of that coach, man. I think the Todd Bowles or the fuck is his name? Whatever the coach of the
Vance
Broncos is.
Joseph. I don't know how he
Vance
got the
Joseph.
job in the first place. I don't know how many more
I-
coaches that
I think
Elway's
it's
going to be
time.
able to fire before people actually figure out he's a big part of the problem. But he's got at least one more. And Vance Joseph,
I know.
a lot of people
He's
thought
gotta
he
go.
might get shit canned last year. I think there's a good chance, a well above average chance that he's one of these Black Monday casualties, if he even makes
Yeah.
it that far.
Broncos win this year's. I thought John Fox was the coach of the
Yeah.
Broncos award because just bring back John Fox and just do it. Just bring him back. Let him stand there all red faced on the sidelines. Just leave him alone and just bring him back.
Let's bring
No
him,
harm.
let's bring
No
him
harm, no
back.
foul.
So we're
Yeah.
going to take you to the high point of the Dolphins season, and that's about midway.
Hold on a second. Did you see that Jets interception? Like
At the end
guy
of it,
intercepted him?
that big dude ran it back all the way. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love a big guy run back.
Yeah, that's
Nothing
great.
better.
He didn't
than
get
a
it
big guy
though.
run
He was.
back.
If you were the ref, I would have just called him a touchdown. Give the man a touchdown. Don't stop it at the 1 yard line.
Oh no, you're
Like
talking about a
Ferdinand.
different one. Yeah, no, I was thinking something different. There was one, I can't remember what game it was. It might have been that Jets game, or it might have been like the Panthers game. I can't remember, but some big fat guy ran it back for like 60 yards, and it was
Oh, really?
tremendous. It was like a D lineman caught like a tipped pass and just barreled into the end zone. There was Vance.
Oh, God.
I don't know who the hell it was, but moving on to the Bengals at the Dolphins. The high water mark of the Dolphins season happened about halfway through the third quarter. They're up 17-3. And then Carriage turned into a pumpkin. 24 points in the fourth quarter for the Bengals. Just mushroom stamping the Dolphins. I saw it coming. I've been calling it. You're fucking fakers, Miami. And here comes the pain.
Yeah, nobody really argued with you. I don't think anybody really was that.
Well,
different
people
from the
have to
Dolphins.
listen to you to argue with you. So, yeah, you got a point there.
But I'm more surprised about the Bengals 4-1, top of the AFC North. I'm more confused than anything. I don't really understand. They didn't really. I guess since their defense has improved, that's enough to allow the Bengals to be competitive this year. And as long as Andy Dalton isn't throwing 4 interceptions, they can actually win games. I don't know. I don't watch enough Cincinnati football to really know what's going on, but I just love seeing AJ Green stat lines, and I hope it never ends.
Yeah, that was a pretty good performance by Dalton. He kept it out of their hands. He threw 1 pick, but I like Joe Mixon. Like, I don't know if I'd want to hang out with him. He doesn't seem like that nice of a guy. But
yeah, I don't think you guys would get along.
Yeah, but I think he's good on the football field. He runs hard, and the Dolphins, they never had a chance. They thought they had a chance, but Tannehill, he did a full on Bortles, and he threw it off his own lineman and it got picked off. This might be that game where they took it back for a score. But either way, moving on to another really, really shitty football game that took place in the state of Ohio.
Too long. These games need to be finished. Like, they don't need to be like 4-hour endeavors.
No.
Like, it's just
Browns, they threaten.
I don't know, man. The refs suck, dude. Like, this is just one of those games too. The refs are just been absolute dog crap. And it was highlighted in this Browns game. They were missing fucking calls. Just fucking
that pass interference thing at the end of it, that was not pass interference. Stupid. That was correct. That was correctly called. As certified by Dean Blandino from New York. But
I don't need this guy to like convince me. Like I know he's wrong, but he's telling me that I'm wrong. And because he's in this fancy studio, like I have to believe him. Give me a fucking break.
But so I mean, Browns, they win that one 12-9. That was a stinker, an absolute stinker. Field goals all around. So that's 7 field goals that are getting scored in that one. That's disgusting. Learned to score a touchdown.
He almost lost it too. They almost tied that game. If he didn't make that field goal at the end, like he kind of like dinked it off some guy. It almost didn't. First of all, it almost didn't even go in. And if they would have, he barely went in.
If that goalpost is 10 feet off the ground, he got that about 12 feet at the crest.
Yeah, it was fucking terrible. Where do they get these guys? You can't find like a better kicker.
And then of course, at the end of it, everybody's roasting Hugh Jackson. Did you see him holding his fingers up at the end of that?
No.
So the kick goes in, and Hugh Jackson sees the kick go in, and he doesn't get excited. He holds up his fingers, and he holds up the number 2, right? So I see that, and the first thing that I think is, all right, you got 2 fucking wins. I thought that's what it was. But then when you look at it, there was still 2 seconds left on the clock. So he, in that moment, is thinking, we got to fucking kick off. There's 2 seconds left in the game. Like, he doesn't even fucking understand the rules of NFL overtime. So they were doing everything they could to shit their pants and not get that win as a coaching staff. And somehow the players overcame. And yeah, I think the Browns are still at least one good coaching change away from being relevant in any real situation. And Joe Flacco, fuck you, man. I'm done. I'm done with you. Like, I'm not even a Ravens fan. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, how can you just suck so hard and just appear to not give a shit? Like, after that game, he was just like partying on the field, like high-fiving everyone. Yeah. So yeah, hey guys, I had actually $200,000 on the under in this one, so I'm pretty stoked about how everything went.
Fucking super stoked. Yeah, he's getting paid, dude. He's been laughing for 4 or 5 years straight, dude. He's been having a grand old time. He doesn't give a shit.
He's a Kaiser Soze of the NFL. You know, the greatest trick that Joe ever pulled was.
You know what? We sit here talking shit. He's the smartest man on the NFL. He's the smartest man on the field.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's just gonna go home to his big mansion, not listen to anything that anybody has to say. Probably throw on some Beach Boys album, sit there, get drunk, and just fucking have a good night.
Just jerk off and pass out in his own cup.
In a fucking pool of his own semen.
And then wake up when breakfast is already made for him. He doesn't even wipe it clean. He just eats it and his hands are all crusty. But it doesn't matter. We got some sick French toast. It doesn't even fucking matter.
It's good. He's not going.
Meanwhile, you and me, we got to make our own French toast. This is bullshit.
Yeah, it's not a fair world. It's not a fair world if you're Phil Rivers having to put up with your stadium being 70%
Your
Raiders
community.
fans. Like that was an ultra pathetic showing from the 15 Raiders fans, or excuse me, the 15 Chargers fans in the LA area.
They just didn't want to get murdered. That's all.
Yeah, they heard that. They're like, they saw the Brendan Schaub thing last night, and they're like, all right, this guy Nostradamus that. And then they're like, oh man, this poker guy's talking about a stabbing. We could be on a trend here. So a lot of empty seats. And there were a lot of empty seats at that stadium. Normally, when you look in the stands of a Chargers home game, what you see is one empty seat, one Chargers fan, one opposing team's fan. Like that's
and then you see rainbow, and then just rainbow colors because people just walk off the streets. Oh, what's going on in here?
Yeah.
Come on, honey, let's go.
Yeah, and it's so that's the normal distribution of fans. But it was really what it was. It was like one Chargers fan to 3 Raiders fans to 5 empty seats. So it was a really, really sparse crowd to watch Derek Unicycle and the Raiders head into the whatever. And what was funny is if you're watching Red Zone, Scott Hansen kept saying Carson. Like he made it a point to never say that like they were in LA. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but he kept saying like, Chargers out there and let's go out to Carson, which I guess are Carson City.
He's there.
And he's like, let's go out to Carson. It felt very underhanded and like sly. I don't know if he's able to really shit on NFL teams being he's on the NFL Network, but it felt like a little bit of a dig at the Chargers.
I'm a Scott Hansen fan. He could punt a baby. I wouldn't care.
He's not a guy that
he's a legend.
You think to yourself, he could be replaced with somebody else. He does his job at a level where you just think, yeah, I think he's doing this as well as anybody could do it. It's like listening to listening to Brett Musburger call a college football game and ogle young ladies in the crowd. No one does it better than you.
There's only one man. There's only one man. Only one man is good at that, and that's you.
No one does that better than you, Brett. But anyhow, no one knocks up ladies better than Phil Rivers, except for maybe Sean Kemp. I don't know if you remember Sean Kemp, but he's got about 200 illegitimate children.
Who's the guy on the jet? Was it Antonio Cromartie?
Yeah, Antonio Cromartie. I think he's got like 20 or 25 fucking like illegitimate kids.
I saw long ago like this guy. I don't know who it was, but they created like on the internet a very crude image of him and all of his kids, and it was like one picture has 9 pixels, one other picture has like 20 pixels. It was very crudely made and expanded and minimized, and it just looked like shit. But it was probably must have been like 18 children on this picture. I don't know. I gotta find it for you.
That's a lot of them, man. It's called a vasectomy, Antonio. You should fucking get one. Like you don't like what if you're afraid you're gonna meet some lady later in life who just really needs to have a kid with you. Tell her she's fucking too late to the party. He's too late to the party. Yeah. You're not having any more kids with your 12th woman.
Oh, what's that? You want one child before you die? Well, I've got 18. Which one do you want? Just take one.
You can have a ownership stake in.
You can have one. You can legit have one. You don't even need to sign a bill of sale. I don't care. Just take it.
He's like everywhere he goes. It's like the McAllister is trying to head to France. So you don't fucking have any idea who you got if you got everybody.
Should we leave the garage door open?
That's what it was.
The garage door open. That's what it was.
So Seahawks left the garage door open up in Seattle. 33-31. Rams go in there. They moved to 5-0. The end of the
Rams looking good.
End of the Legion of
Seahawks
Boom.
Looking terrible. Yeah. Rams looking good. Seahawks looking terrible. Jared Goff still beast. Todd Gurley still huge. But the Seahawks they kind of look all over the place. They don't really look that good.
No, they're not that good. One of the things that entertains me is when people are talking about Jared Goff and they start acting amazed that he's playing well. But wasn't he the number 1 draft pick 3 years ago? Like the first fucking pick where all these scouts say, hey, this guy's going to be really good. And then Jeff Fisher goes in and shits all over him. And then people start to doubt him. Well, hey, let's not be I'm not saying we shouldn't be impressed that he's doing well, but let's not act amazed because he didn't get selected 199th like Tommy. So he was the first pick. He's supposed to be fucking good. Let's just be happy that he's good. We don't need to act amazed that, oh my God, I can't believe Sean McVay got this blue chip number 1 prospect to play well.
Where did this guy come
Yeah,
from?
how did he
I've
reach
never
him?
even heard of this guy.
How did he reach him with
Oh
his
my
genius
gosh.
and get this number 1
Yeah.
prospect, number 1 draft pick to actually play well? They're not a
It's just like that weird ESPN like dialogue they try to create. Like, did you know Russell Wilson was passed by 20
yeah.
other teams and he won a Super Bowl?
Yeah, so
Woo!
is
I
Nick
don't know. It's
Foles,
ESPN
by the
bullshit.
way, everybody. Yeah.
For all you listeners out there in Singapore.
So Cardinals at the 49ers. We're going to move through this one real quick. All I'll say is I was looking at something, and they were shitting on Eli Manning, and they were saying Eli has the second fewest, air yards per pass attempt of anybody in the NFL, second only to Sam Bradford, which I was okay, that's good. I was like, if they're going to put a name in there, I'm glad that's what it was, because that's where my mind went. Rosen's been good. He threw a couple good balls. I wouldn't say he was great, but he had that long touchdown pass to Kirk. It's always good when you go up against C.J. Beathard. As far as I know, Beathard kept consciousness this week, so it was an improvement for him. Not an improvement for the 49ers in the scoreboard. Cardinals beat them 28-18. Both those teams at 1-4, licking the Rams' boots.
There's that one C.J. Beathard strip sack. Somebody just like fucking yanked the ball out of his hands and ran the other way. And he's sitting there like just looking dopey. I felt bad for the guy. He just wanted to be home with his feet up watching Red Zone. He did not want to be out there playing for the
He did not want to be out there. So we'll go ahead. We'll go to the Thursday night game real quick before we get into the Eagles and the Vikings. But Thursday night, Tommy took his boys. Him and Gronk went up against the Colts. So the rivalry is officially not back on. They kicked the shit out of the Colts, as they always do. Jim, oh, man. Rough. As far as I know, Irsay's still alive, but it's a mortar and pestle night for Jim. Big night, one way or the other. Crushing those oxys, just snorting rails and getting drunk because it was tough out there for his Colts. Biggest thing for me, takeaway out of that game, we got a little bit of Tommy Josh Gordon action. So Josh Gordon actually caught that 500 touchdown pass. He just threw that up there. Patriots looking fucking dangerous. And I'm pretty sure next week they're playing Kansas City. Let me double check this. But
yeah, Patriots are looking solid.
Yeah.
Man. But that's how they are. Like, people always doubt them. But you don't bet against Bill Belichick. You don't do that. One final note, though, on that game, Andrew Luck wasn't looking bad. He was looking pretty good. I have this weird thought that maybe he just doesn't give a shit or doesn't want to play for Indianapolis for the rest of his career. So he's just trying not to get hurt because he's actually pretty solid. It's just he doesn't have any weapons around him. But Andrew Luck, he's actually looking pretty good. I was happy to see him playing out there, throwing, as you say, man-sized footballs.
Yeah, he's throwing human-sized footballs, and that's always good to see. Always good to see. But that was a a good game on Thursday night. Good to see the Patriots get back on track. I mean, things even out. We knew the Dolphins would slide back, and then we knew the Patriots would catch up to them. Last game of the week. All right. So, like I said,
are they playing the Chiefs?
They're going to play the Chiefs next week. That's a Sunday night game. So it's going to be Chiefs at the Patriots. That's going to be a fucking hell of a game. I'm looking forward to that. We could have 100 points in that game. There could be 100. Whatever it is, bet the over. Bet the over on that. I don't even know what it is. If it's 65, bet it. If it's 70, just fucking bet it. Bet it like it's a Big 12 game.
Cal versus what is it? Oregon
yeah, did
State.
You see the Texas-Oklahoma game? Well, we'll have a little brief college football side.
I didn't, but
that was a heck of a game, man.
But Texas, are they back? Texas back? I know everybody's circles.
Texas is back every year. Back? So Texas is the Tiger Woods of college football. There's a lot of people that are rooting against them that don't ever want to see him back, and then there's a lot of people just lusting for them to be back in the limelight. I'm glad. I like it when Texas is back. They have a very, I don't want to call them annoying, but they're pretty fucking annoying fan base. And the more annoying fan bases that can kind of have a little bit of a reason to peacock and fluff their feathers, I like that. Like, I like that. That entertains me. But that was a good
Were you entertained by LSU losing to the
I was
Gators?
actually.
Speaking of
I watched
flexing,
that game as well, and people are.
I know you're not a Florida fan, but you got to admit, talking about annoying fans that peacock for no reason, the LSU fans doing the Gator chomp. Get them off the fucking screen. Not cool, bro. It's like doing the skull clap when you're the
Hey,
Saints.
Sean
When you're
Payton,
Sean
don't
Payton,
skull clap.
you can't don't skull clap to the end. Don't do the Gator chomp till the end. Oh, what's that? You lost? That's right. Go back to what is it? Baton Rouge. Go
Coming back to
Baton
Baton Rouge, one of the things that I've been into lately is I like to get on these message boards, these SEC message boards, anytime a team loses a big game. So there's a couple things going on.
Okay.
There's already some movement after one loss that we got to fire at Ogeron. Right? So
I love that.
it's
I
pretty
love
consistent stuff going on there as far as all right. So and they're like, oh, this is just another example of why we can't have nice things here at LSU, because that's a one loss.
Mm-hmm.
They're ready to fire Ed, and people are like, oh, he's never going to beat Bama. He's never going to do this, do that. And he's like, everyone.
Nobody's
And
gonna
believe
do
it or
that,
not, for
first of
fucking
all.
Gators like you, people are really high on Mullen and the job that he's doing at Florida. You're one of the few people, I think you seem a little disconnected, but most people are thinking that he's doing a pretty good job there.
I think Florida's gotten really lucky. A couple of their wins have just been lucky wins. I mean, they did lose to Kentucky, for God's sakes. So
Yeah, Kentucky got beat by A&M this weekend.
Yeah, all is not right in the world, but again, it's going to come down to like Florida, Georgia. So we'll see at the Florida Georgia game exactly how good.
You'll know where you're at that point.
You'll know where
Georgia's
you're
for
at.
real.
Georgia's for real, and I like that game because it's never played in Georgia and it's never played in Gainesville. It's always played in Jacksonville, which is kind of like the middle ground. So those games are really indicative. There's no home field advantage. It's fun for everybody. That's a really good game. You learn a lot on
It's
that
the world's
game.
biggest tailgate party, right?
Yes, it is.
Not
Biggest
what
cocktail
it
party.
used to be before they
Banned alcoholic beverages outside because God forbid you drink alcoholic beverages outside during a sporting event. But let's hand them out during UFC fights because that's a better idea.
Yeah, and then the other fan base I was checking out their shit was Auburn. So I love Auburn fans, and they are trapped. What the Auburn fans are like. They remind me of is people that immediately regretted enlisting in the Marine Corps, right? And that's how they feel about not Gene Chizik, about Gus Malzahn.
Yeah,
they're like, because I think they re-extended him, and then some guy broke down the math, and he's like, all right, man, this is how I knew they were getting desperate. I knew they were getting real fucking desperate. One guy kind of broke it down. He's like, can we afford to buy out Malzahn? And this is how desperate this one guy was. He's like, I don't know how much Clay Helton actually likes coaching at USC, University of Southern California. Okay. And they were like, maybe we could get Clay Helton in here.
Why? Why?
And then, of course, there's a wave of people afterwards. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right. Like, he can't even win at SC, where it's like he's got the whole West Coast like to himself to recruit. He's fucking terrible. But that's a level of desperation that those fans are reaching, where there's actually people out there that are saying it unironically that we should consider making a move for Clay Helton.
That's ridiculous. And that's
tough.
That's tough. And that's why people shouldn't vote. You know what I mean? That's why I, to this day, don't think people should vote. Because that guy right there, he's got a voter's card. And he's voting.
Yeah.
And then he's sitting there and he's talking to other people at like McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know what? He fucking
look at Clay Helton in here, man. We'd be much better off. So it's like, no, don't let that guy do it. And then the other thing that I thought was funny was they were talking about Malzahn, and one of them said he's our Kevin Sumlin, a former A&M coach, but also current coach at my alma mater, Arizona, which, by the way, we are, I think, 2-3 now, or maybe 3-2. I don't know. We're darn near, maybe we're 500, I think, after an in-conference win versus powerhouse University of California, Berkeley.
Bear
we
down.
are, yeah,
Bear
bear the
down.
fuck down. We're coming for you. Clay Helton. All right, wait, no, I think we already got beat by them, actually. So never mind. Never mind. We're not coming for Clay Helton. We never beat USC. Just like
Is Chip Kelly
the
coaching?
Eagles.
Where's Chip Kelly at?
Oh, he's at UCLA. Yeah, they're 0-5.
We're
They're
coming for you,
getting
Chip Kelly. We're
yeah,
coming
we're
for
coming
you.
for Chip. I think we play them soon.
I
That's
want
probably
Chip.
going to be. Yeah, it's probably going to be Chip's first win. We're not known for stringing these things together.
Yeah.
When it comes to the football field. Once our
You guys are
basketball
a basketball
team recovers,
program. Yeah, you
once
guys
our basketball team recovers from the fucking slander that ESPN put on it, we should be just fine. Mark Schlabach, if you're listening, you are an absolute fucking piece of shit. And I had never hated a reporter more than I hate you. Until I hear those tapes of Miller saying that, you can assume that there's a lawsuit pending, brother. And I'm going to keep coming at you on Twitter, too. Keep coming at you on Twitter. You can
That's
keep
what's
ignoring
dope
me.
about Twitter. You can keep ignoring me, but I know you hear me. God damn it!
Yeah. As soon as you block this account, guess what? I'm not coming at you with a new one, man. I'm coming at you again.
You know, it's funny.
I don't give
You
a
know,
shit.
nobody's tweeting him throughout the day, but Bobby Fever is. You know, Bobby
Yeah.
Fever's tweeting at 2 p.m. Hey, fuck you, buddy.
Hey, fuck you, Mark Schlabach. Check your mentions, bro. It's me again. It's me again.
You suck. You're like the guy from Happy Gilmore. Like the guy
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
fucking suck.
I'm gonna be that guy. That's two thus far, Mark.
Did you guys see? Did you see Willie Taggart? This
What happened there?
No, they just FSU has been playing like dog shit. They had this game yesterday against Miami. It was kind of like a close game. Miami Hurricanes came out strong and beat the Florida State Seminoles 28-27, and the Seminoles were held to like 0 points in the fourth. Now people are screaming blood, and they want Willie Taggart.
Willie Taggart, I mean, he's been. I'll tell you what, no one in Oregon fucking misses that guy. I haven't heard anybody say, and it makes it easy when he goes to his next school and shits his pants. But I haven't heard anybody say that anybody up in Oregon would be better off if Taggart were still here.
Florida State, they've been bad this year, man. I'm not a Florida State guy, but they lost to Syracuse. Go Cuse. And they also lost to Samford, which is kind of like
that's gross.
Yeah, which is one of those recent, like, used to be a D3 school and now it's a D1 school. They get paid $200,000 to play Florida State, but they're not supposed to win. Oh no, I think Florida State did win. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here looking at their schedule. They did beat Samford. Sorry, Florida State fans. They still lost to Cuse. But yeah, people are screaming for Cuse.
Apparently, I'm broadcasting from inside of a fucking animal shelter right now. So I'm sorry, listener in Sweden. I'll get those animals under control.
That guy in Sweden is listening to us like, God damn, I am never moving to the U.S. They got fucking crazy rabid dogs. Fucking no way.
I think it's probably like a Swedish psychologist who's doing some sort of case study on us. That's probably what it is, just gathering evidence. So last game of the week to talk about, we got the Eagles hosting the Vikings. Vikings went in there 23-21, took the Eagles out, and my favorite tweet of the day came from Skip Bayless, and he suggested that perhaps Foles would be the man. Well, be best served underneath the center. I'm not going to say that he's right, but I'm just going to say that I completely agree with him.
Well, Skip Bayless is a man of knowledge, and he's a very smart man. He's never wrong. So Skip Bayless,
he's got an acute football mind. Like it's basically Belichick, Sean McVay, and then Skip Bayless.
And they're all tied for first. They're all tied for first.
It's the power rankings: 1, A, B, and C. So. Yeah, I mean, but the Super Bowl hangover, usually that goes to the team that gets their asses kicked and loses the Super Bowl. This year, it's a team that won it. I mean, Philly was partying hard all year. It's hard to get – the NFL is a game of very small margins of winning and losing. And right now, the Eagles are 2-3. They're heading into New York next week to take on the Giants. So the schedule's been merciful there as far as being able to have it.
Remember, they are in the NFC East. So they do have that saving grace. They just have to be marginally better than the Cowboys, Redskins, and Giants. And I don't think that's impossible.
Yeah, it's a weak division. I mean, the Eagles are 2-3. Cowboys are playing right now against the Texans. That's 7-6 in the
Texans are in the
start of the
lead,
second quarter. And then the Redskins are 2-1, but they got to play the Saints, so they could be 2-2 at the end of that.
right? 2-2, and then I think the Giants are 1-4. So even with this loss, the Eagles are still in second place in the division, or tied for second place.
Yeah, they're not losing touch. There's no reason to hand anyone in Philly a shovel just yet. Wentz has been okay. The offense just hasn't looked quite right, whether it was with Foles, whether it was with Wentz now.
Even with Kirk Cousins too, this game was kind of tough to watch. Even the Vikings are looking a little sloppy.
Yeah, it was a pretty gross game. And I think Bailey missed a few kicks in that one as well. Tough day for kickers. You don't want to be a kicker on Zimmer's bad side. He's got no fucking patience for that.
Well, when Dan Bailey hit that last kick to win the game, Zimmer was a little happy.
That saved his job for sure.
Exactly. That's one person that's not getting a Microsoft Surface Pro smashed on his face. So
good news for all the possums and raccoons on the roadway this week. Michael swerve back.
Minimal casualties.
Yeah, Michael swerve out of the way for you until that next L hits the books. We got, like we talked about, we got the Cowboys and the Texans going at it right now, and Redskins and Saints tomorrow night. It was good. It was a good but not great Week 5 in the NFL. We'll see you back here on Thursday as we preview Week 6 of the NFL action.
Peace, bitches.
Later.